Straight ahead on 12 News, a shock that turned into a lifesaver in Maple Grove. Plus,
trains carry oil and hazardous materials through our area every week. How our local cities are preparing for an emergency.
But first, a hot topic at Osseo area schools, how to close the achievement gap. 12 News starts right now. Hello and thanks for joining us. We'll have those stories in a moment, but we begin in Plymouth, where a Providence Academy teacher is accused of sending inappropriate emails to female students.
And police confirm they are looking into the content of those emails, which came from a male teacher. The school says that teacher was immediately fired on Wednesday. Providence Academy released a statement today saying, "We do not tolerate this behavior," and upon learning of it, took immediate action. The teacher has been terminated, and we are working with authorities while they investigate. Well, now to a much different problem facing schools, trying to close an achievement gap.
And the issue is a hot topic for candidates running for Osseo School Board, and here's why. Math proficiency for white students at Osseo area schools is 73%. For blacks, it's 33%. For reading proficiency, it's 72% among whites compared to 36% among black students. But progress is being made. Sonia Goins went to Park Center High School to show us how.
It's a drive that I have to stand out and be above other people, yes.
Ivy Robinson is on a mission to do well in school.
I have all A's and B's at the moment.
Last year, the Park Center senior decided to drop the normal course load and is now taking all college-level classes.
I want to be a veterinarian. So I felt like if I wanted to do something different, then I'd have to be different.
Ivy says she wants to break the stereotype that some people have of African-American students.
We can all achieve if we put our minds to it. If we keep up what we're doing, then we'll be above and we won't have that gap, not even just for the African-American, but for the other minorities.
But for students struggling to make the grade, Park Center has put in place a few programs to help them succeed. The school has boosted its reading curriculum.
If need be, we place them in 2 reading classes. We double them up. So throughout the day, they have 2 classes that support them in building their reading comprehension and reading skills.
And there are additional resources for students taking geometry and algebra.
A student in those sections will have 2 licensed math teachers, rock star math teachers at all times, helping them.
School officials say they are seeing signs of improvement when it comes to closing the achievement gap.
Since 2008, Park Center has achieved a more than 35% increase of on-time graduation rates for our black students. That's the highest increase by far in the state of Minnesota among schools with at least 50 students in their graduating class.
But Park Center officials say there is still work to be done.
We're not going to be satisfied until we get all students to graduate on time.
Now, the Osseo School District is one of the most racially diverse districts in the state. At Park Center, only 21% of students are white. Officials say they've added more ethnic books in the classrooms and the media center to reflect its diverse population. And Mike and Alex, there is an Osseo School Forum tonight where they'll talk about closing the achievement gap.
The candidates will tell where they stand.
They will.
All right, thank you very much.
Sonia. Hennepin County is taking a new approach to prevent jail inmates from becoming repeat offenders. It's estimated a third of all inmates suffer from mental illness, and more than 40% of inmates return to jail within a year of being released. The county is launching a program that pairs inmates with mental and chemical health resources to try to break that cycle.
What we want is to connect with them while they're in the jail and then maintain a relationship through that transition period that is a really, really high risk period for individuals when they're leaving the jail and returning into the community.
Around 100 people are booked into the Hennepin County Jail each day.
An 8-year-old Maple Grove girl is alive and doing well thanks to first responders and a key piece of equipment. Officer Katie Winkler was the first on the scene when the girl collapsed with a heart problem. Winkler used an automated external defibrillator to deliver a life-saving shock.
Part of it, it's our job, and that's what we're supposed to do. But also when it's an 8-year-old involved, it's definitely, that day, it was a lot of emotion involved. This was the first juvenile that I had done CPR on.
The incident happened in May, and this week Maple Grove honored first responders and neighbors who helped. Well, you've probably noticed the increase of trains moving through our area since the North Dakota oil boom.
A new law requires the Department of Homeland Security to help cities better understand the dangers posed by trains carrying oil. Shannon Slatton explains what they're learning.
It's a familiar sight and sound in Plymouth. Trains, sometimes hundreds of cars long, moving down the tracks. Many include dozens of tanker cars, some of which carry hazardous materials that travel very close to homes and neighborhoods.
There's going to be increased amounts of train traffic, rolling through, so we want to make sure that we're prepared.
For the city of Plymouth, that means training to handle any emergency when a train comes off a track.
It's a high risk but low frequency, but we still want to make sure that we're prepared for it.
An average of 50 trains carry millions of gallons of crude oil across Minnesota every week. But they carry other hazardous materials too, like ethanol.
On any given day, there's multiple chemicals. So we use chlorine quite a bit. We use ammonia in our ag industry.
The Department of Homeland Security is one of the agencies training cities on what to do if there's an accident involving a train. More cities are expected to hold tabletop trainings like this one in Fridley that involve all city departments.
We talk to police and fire and emergency medical services, public works, so that when and if something like this would happen, they all have a general idea how they need to work together, because this is not just going to be a one department event.
The city of Plymouth held a meeting like this one back in September.
We set up a particular scenario in which we all get together and talk about what different jobs need to be done and then what their responsibilities are going to be in an emergency situation.
More than 99% of trains get to their destinations safely, but city officials say if a disaster happens, they will be ready.
We're going to be prepared.
In Plymouth, Shannon Slatton, 12 News.
Plymouth plans to have more training in December.
West Lutheran High School was awash in pink today. The school showed support for the girls volleyball team holding a Dig Pink Day before their game tonight with Maranatha. Students also raised money for the Standout Foundation, furthering breast cancer research. Besides t-shirts and bake sales, the volleyball team has some very creative ways of raising money.
In between the JV and varsity game, we're having a serve-a-thon, so we're going to lay prizes all over the floor. And if you pay $1 and you hit a prize, then you get to take it home, and that brings in a lot of money because a lot of people do that, so that's fun.
Last year, the school raised more than $4,000. Lots of pink. From West Lutheran now to Wayzata High School, it's where we meet this week's standout student. Up next.
And then later in sports, a preview of a big Friday football game between rivals Maple Grove and Osseo.
But first, cool, dry weather remains, although there is a warm-up in sight. A well-rounded student is generally someone who earns good grades and takes part in after-school activities.
And then you have those who take it to a whole nother level. As Delane Cleveland reports, today's standout student from Wayzata High School has even started his own nonprofit.
¿Qué es esa cosa en la parte de arriba?
In an advanced Spanish class,
¿Pero qué está dentro del ojo?
you're not going to hear much English spoken.
Se puede ver animales, los colores de negro, gris, blanco, ¿qué más?
It's a fitting place to be for Andrew Quirk.
Parece sí, Andrew.
That's because he runs a nonprofit that donates medical devices to South America.
Taking those devices and different supplies and donating them to medical posts in countries where there's not affordable health care, especially in Peru and Nicaragua are the main two places right now.
It's a new venture for this Wayzata High School senior who carries a 4.3 GPA, serves as a student body president, and president of the Minnesota Association of Student Councils.
I want to be the best at everything I can be, and I think that kind of goes back to my religion too, because I think God gave me some gifts and talents, and I want to make the best of those.
His talents also extend to Wayzata's nationally ranked cross-country team.
It's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of dedication. I mean, every day we're out there for a couple hours running, but in the end, it really pays off.
He is the whole package.
Talk to Andrew's teachers.
Very strong academically.
And you'll get a sense as to what he means to the school.
He has a lot of natural leadership abilities, very well respected and well liked by his peers. And most of it is because of his work ethic. He gives just as much as he expects from everybody else.
High praise for a student who hopes to get into the business side of biomedical engineering and ultimately be CEO of a company.
The service-oriented piece is probably my biggest asset because I care about other people people a lot and want to help them get better.
In Plymouth, Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
Andrew has narrowed down his college choices to Stanford, Michigan, and the University of Pennsylvania. Coming up, extra motor power in Brooklyn Park, the reason for the rev of dirt bikes.
But first, the Hopkins football team is on a roll after beating two big rivals. John Jacobson has sports next.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. While it's a great football rivalry, Maple Grove and Osseo haven't necessarily been good at the same time. One team or the other has had stretches of dominating their matchups through the years. After not playing last fall when both had high-caliber clubs, they're both having strong seasons again in 2014. Maple Grove is undefeated coming into the Friday night game. The Crimson has put together two very impressive games in a row, dominating solid teams in Tutino Grace 28-0 and Blaine 50-0.
This year, the progress from each game, we've been getting a lot better, and the teams that we've been playing have been a lot better from last year, so I think that helps.
Maple Grove is rapidly becoming one of the best big school programs in the state. Knocking off their closest rival and another good team like Osseo would make for a fun night.
This is a big week for us. Obviously, it's a crosstown rival, so I mean, there's a lot of talk going around, but this is just a normal game for us.
It's a game that's fun for the community, I think, and for the kids. A lot of them know each other from their times in junior high and before that, and so it's kind of fun because the relationship's built. So it's a good, the community's excited. There's a lot of parents that know each other and things like that, so it's fun to play them.
Meanwhile, Osseo is 4-2 this season and definitely fired up to play Maple Grove. The Orioles have crushed Spring Lake Park, Anoka, and Armstrong the past 3 games. That was after losing back-to-back contests on the road to Lake Conference powers Minnetonka and Eden Prairie early in the season. They tried to use those losses as learning experiences.
I think so. I mean, Eden Prairie was a challenge for us. We got to a slow start on that game, but we showed that we could score against a very good team, #1 team in the state, and I think we can score against Maple Grove as well.
Well, Maple Grove somewhat tries to downplay the rivalry. Osseo head coach Darren Lamker is very eager to stir the pot as his team gets set to face the Crimson.
We've beat these guys 7 out of 8, and to beat a team with that many resources that many times is hard. You know, we've done that a lot lately, so something's going to change sometime, but you know, we're going to come over and give it our best effort, and this might be the best team they've had in 15 years.
This is a really, really big week. The rivalry's been going since as long as I can remember. Probably much longer before that, but this is a really big game for us, and hoping that this week can come out to get a win.
And you know it's rivalry week when Maple Grove paints Osseo's Rock in crimson colors. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock Friday at Maple Grove. You can watch the game live on Channel 12 and at 12.tv. The Hopkins football team is coming off a bye week. That's because the Royals played a 0-week game on August 22nd. Hopkins comes into play this week riding a 3-game winning streak. That includes Lake Conference wins over Minnetonka and Wayzata. Considering the Royals had won just a single conference game combined in the last 3 seasons, it's a pretty big deal.
That was a great win against Wayzata. We haven't beat them in like 16 years, so we got bigger plans. We're hoping to move on and maybe play them again in the playoffs and win.
Homecoming, or after Minnetonka's homecoming loss last year, winning our homecoming this year was a big thing, and then Wayzata we haven't beaten in a long time, so that was really good to get that.
It was really special. You know, the thing is we can't take too much time congratulating ourselves on those because we've got a couple tough teams here coming up at the end of the season. We'd like to finish strong, and those were great wins, but those are wins that we'll enjoy in January and February and when we think back on the football season. And right now we're just concentrating on getting better.
With the bye week, the 4-2 Royals have had some time to heal up from minor mid-season injuries. Now they look forward to Friday's home game against Edina.
They have a good defensive line, and their quarterback really gets the ball away quickly and can throw the ball real well. And they're a well-coached team. You know, they're disciplined. They've had a super tough schedule, and we're not underestimating them because we know it's going to be a tough ball game.
After Friday night's game, the Royals close out the regular season next Wednesday at Eden Prairie. Here's a look at all of the local football games Friday night. In addition to the Osseo Maple Grove game in the Northwest Suburban Conference, Park Center plays at Armstrong, Champlin Park travels to Coon Rapids, and Tutino Grace visits Irondale. Wayzata hosts top-ranked Eden Prairie, while Hopkins is home to Edina. Cooper goes to Richfield this week. Benilde is at Bloomington Jefferson. Brooklyn Center is home to face St. Agnes. Breck hosts Blake. Finally, Providence Academy is home to play Minnehaha Academy. And that is it for sports.
All right, thanks a lot, John. Now to Local Vote 2014 and candidates running for Crystal City Council in Ward 1.
Incumbent Mark Hoffman has served on several advisory commissions before being elected to the council in 1996. He faces Elizabeth Dahl, a small business owner.
Hello, I'm Mark Hoffman, your Crystal City Council person for Ward 1, and I'm up for re-election. I have served you for the last 19 years with the goal of making Crystal a safe, viable, and affordable community to live with your families and operate your businesses. I would like to continue serving you with the express concern of maintaining our basic services in the annual budget while keeping any tax increases minimal. I have helped lead the Crystal City Council over the last 4 years to an average increase of only $13 per year. I offer you proven experience, dedication, and knowledge with open lines of communication to meet your needs and those of Crystal's for the future. I'm Mark Hoffman, and I ask for your vote on Tuesday, November 4th for the Crystal City Council, Ward 1.
Hello. My name is Elizabeth Dahl, and I'm running for Crystal City Council in Ward 1. I'm here to ask for your vote. I'm running because I strongly believe that a city does make a difference, for better or for worse, in the lives of its citizens. I find that too often politics is top-down, with the voices of citizens not being heard. Does this concern you? Well, it concerns me. As your council representative, I will be both responsible and responsive, actively listening to the citizens I represent in order to make Crystal the place to live. I invite you to learn more about my campaign at dahlforcrystal.com. My name is Elizabeth Dahl, and I'm running for Crystal City Council in Ward 1. Thank you for your vote.
And we'll be right back.
If you hear the buzz of dirt bikes around the Zanewood Recreation Center in Brooklyn Park this fall, not to worry.
No, a program that gives young people the opportunity to ride mini bikes just launched in Brooklyn Park. It's part of a partnership between the YMCA, the City of Brooklyn Park, and the Police Department, where Honda mini bikes are used as a motivational tool. Kids between the ages of 10 and 17 who stay out of trouble, go to school, and complete a community service project get the opportunity to take lessons on how to ride those bikes.
All the while we're doing it, we're building self-esteem, teaching about caring for your community and environment, and building positive relationships with the kids.
The instructors have a total of 8 bikes, and each group consists of 16 kids. The next round of training will take place in the spring. Looks like fun, too.
Yeah, reason to do your homework,
Yeah,
right?
That's it for now. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We'll see you back here tomorrow. Community Corner is coming up next.